I was standing in the dark hallway by the bathroom in my socks when I heard my dad say my name. I had my breath held and my hand resting flat against the cold wall. The office door was open just a crack, and his voice slipped right through the yellow light. He was telling my brother not to worry about the truck loan. "Just put her name on the paperwork," he said. "She cares too much to cancel it." I never did push that door open. What I did in the weeks after that night, and what my father's face did when I dropped a police report on the dinner table, is the part I still turn over in my head today. I'm Maya. I'm 28. This is the week my family found out that the quiet girl who always paid the bills finally locked the vault. If you have ever been treated like a free bank by your own blood, this one is for you. Drop a comment and be sure to subscribe. It was Sunday, October 15th, 2023. Dinner was at 5:30 p.m., just like always. I stood in the dark hallway near the bathroom. The wooden floor felt cold through my socks. I was holding my breath. My dad, Robert, was in his home office talking to my younger brother, Leo. The door was open just a crack. A thin line of yellow light fell on the floor. "They want a cosigner, Dad," Leo said. His voice sounded whiny. "My credit score is too low. The dealer said no." I heard the sound of ice clinking in my dad's glass. "Stop worrying, Leo. Just put her name on the loan as the main buyer." "Maya?" Leo asked. "She will be so mad. Her husband David will flip out." "David is not her family," my dad said firmly. "We are. Maya has a great job at Mercy West Hospital. Her credit is perfect. Just use her social security number. I have it in my file cabinet." My heart stopped. My own father. "Is that legal?" Leo asked. He did not sound worried. He just sounded lazy. "It is not stealing," my dad said. His voice was smooth and calm. "It is family helping family. You need a truck for your new landscaping job. Once you start making money, you will pay the monthly bill. She will not even notice. And when she finds out, she will not do anything. She cares too much about us to cancel it. She never fights back." The words hit me like a physical punch in the chest. She cares too much about us. She never fights back. My name is Maya. I am 28 years old. I work as a nurse in the baby ICU. For my whole life, I was the one trying to make my parents proud. I paid for my own nursing school. I worked night shifts. I never asked them for a single dollar. Leo is 25. He is the golden boy. If Leo wakes up before noon, my mother, Susan, acts like he won a gold medal. Just last month, I paid $450 for new tires for Leo's old car because my dad said, "Maya, you make good money. Help your little brother. That is what a good sister does." I always did it. I always gave in. I just wanted my dad to look at me the way he looked at Leo. I wanted them to love me, not for my bank account. I stepped back from the office door. My hands were shaking so bad I had to hold the wall. I did not yell. I did not push the door open. That was not how my family worked. In my family, we kept a fake smile on our faces. We pretended everything was perfect. I walked back to the dining room. The table was full of food. My husband, David, was sitting there. He is a high school math teacher. He is quiet, but he sees everything. David looked at my face. His smile dropped. He saw my pale skin and my shaking hands. "Are you sick?" he whispered. "We need to leave," I whispered back. My voice was tight. "Right now." I grabbed my purse from the chair. My mother came out of the kitchen with a plate of bread. "Maya, where are you going?" "I made the sweet potatoes you like." "I feel sick, Mom," I lied. The words tasted like ash in my mouth. "Stomach bug. I don't want to get you sick." My dad came out of the office. He looked at me with a soft, loving smile, a perfect father smile. "Leaving so soon, sweetie? You work too hard at that hospital. Take care of yourself." It made me feel sick to my stomach. He was smiling at me while planning to steal my name. "Bye, Dad," I said. I walked out the front door fast. David followed right behind me. When we got into our small Honda Civic, the cold October air hit my face. I locked the doors. I finally let out a breath. Tears started falling down my face. I could not stop them. "Maya, talk to me," David said. He did not start the car. He just looked at me. His eyes were full of worry. I told him everything. I told him about the loan, the social security number, and the truck. I told him my dad's exact words. "She cares too much to cancel it." David did not yell. He did not hit the steering wheel. He is a very logical man. He took out his phone. "What time does the car dealership open tomorrow?" he asked. His voice was dangerously calm. "I don't know," I cried. "David, what do I do? If I stop them, my family will hate me forever. Dad will say I am selfish." David reached over and held my face in his hands. His hands were warm. "Maya, look at me. They are stealing your future. If Leo crashes that truck, or misses a payment, the bank will come after us. They will take our house. They will ruin your nursing license. I felt a cold chill go down my back. I never thought about that. Take out your phone, David said. Why? Open your banking app. Open the Experian credit app, David said. You are going to lock your credit file, right then and there. Nobody will be able to run a credit check on you, not even your father. My thumb hovered over the screen. Locking my credit felt like declaring war on my family. For 28 years I kept the fake peace. I was the good daughter. I was the quiet one. Maya, David said softly. They are counting on your silence. Do not give it to them. I looked at the screen. I pressed the button. A small green check mark appeared on my screen. It was done. Nobody could borrow money in my name. We drove home in silence. The streets were dark. My chest felt tight. Part of me hoped my dad was just talking. Part of me hoped he would wake up the next morning, realize it was wrong, and stop Leo. I still wanted to believe my dad was a good person who just made a bad choice. I waited for 3 days. Monday and Tuesday went by slowly. I checked my phone every hour. Nothing. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe David and I overreacted. Then came Wednesday morning, October 18th, 2023. It was 10:15 a.m. I was on my coffee break at the hospital. My phone buzzed. I looked at the screen. It was an automated text message from Experian. Alert, attempted credit inquiry at Riverside Ford, blocked due to security freeze. The room started spinning. I had to sit down on a plastic chair in the break room. They actually did it. They sat in a car dealership, handed over my social security number, and tried to buy a $60,000 truck in my name. David was a genius. My hands were shaking, but I opened Google and found the number for Riverside Ford. I called them and asked for the finance manager. Hello, this is Greg. A man's voice answered. He sounded very annoyed. Hi, this is Maya Reynolds, I said. My heart started beating fast. I just got an alert that someone is trying to run my credit there. Ma'am, I have your father and your brother sitting in my office right now. We have a big problem. We tried to run the final paperwork for the 2023 Ford F-150, but your credit file is frozen. You need to call Experian right now and lift the freeze so we can give your brother the keys. I closed my eyes. The pain in my chest was not a fake peace anymore. It was real, sharp grief. My family did not love me. They only loved what I could do for them. Maya? The man asked again. I opened my eyes. The tears stopped. Maya? The car dealer asked again. His voice echoed through the phone. I swallowed the dry lump in my throat. I looked at the white hospital walls of the break room. I did not lock my credit by accident, Greg, I said. My voice was shaking, but I forced it to stay quiet. Do not run my credit file. I did not agree to buy a truck today, or ever. Greg let out a heavy breath. Ma'am, your father is sitting right here. He gave us your social security number. He signed your name on the first page. He said you were the main buyer. A cold sweat broke out on my neck. He forged my signature. My dad actually forged my signature on a legal document. Before Greg could say anything else, the phone rustled. A new voice came on the line. Maya, honey, what is going on? It was my dad, Robert. His voice was so soft, so perfectly warm. It was his special voice, the one he used in public to look like the best father in the world. Just call the credit company, sweetie, my dad said smoothly. Leo found the perfect truck. It is a green F-150. He needs it for his new landscaping job. We just need you to unlock the file for 5 minutes. Dad, you stole my social security number, I said. My chest hurt with every single word. The pain was so sharp it felt hard to breathe. You tried to buy a truck in my name behind my back. Stole? Maya, please do not use ugly words, he said. He sounded a little annoyed now, like I was a silly child who spilled a glass of milk. We are family. Family shares things. You have a great job at Mercy West Hospital. You have money. Leo is just starting his life. Why are you being so selfish? Selfish? I asked. A single tear rolled down my cheek. It is a $60,000 truck, Dad. I don't even drive a car that expensive. I will make the monthly payments. Leo yelled loudly in the background. You could not even buy your own tires last month, Leo, I yelled back. I never yelled. My hand gripped the edge of the cheap plastic table so hard my fingers turned white. My dad's voice dropped. The fake warmth completely disappeared. The mask fell off. Unlock the file, Maya, right now, my dad said. His tone was cold, hard, and full of anger. You are embarrassing me in front of this car dealer. Stop being a spoiled brat and fix this. No, I said. There was a heavy pause. The silence on the phone felt like a dark, freezing room. If you do not unlock this file, my dad said slowly, marking every word, do not bother coming to Sunday dinner. You are not welcome in my house." He hung up. Click. I sat alone in the break room. The smell of hospital coffee and rubbing alcohol filled the air. Down the hall, a baby monitor beeped. My whole world was falling apart, but the hospital just kept moving. I looked at my phone screen. The time was 10:22 a.m. In exactly 7 minutes, I had lost my father and my brother. I did not cry anymore. The pain was too deep for tears. It felt like a heavy, cold stone sitting at the bottom of my stomach. The rest of my shift was a blur. I took care of sick babies. I checked medicines. I smiled at worried mothers. But inside I was entirely numb. The betrayal was so deep it felt like someone had scooped out my heart. That evening, October 18th, 2023, at 7:45 p.m., I was sitting on my living room sofa. The TV was off. My husband David brought me a cup of hot chamomile tea. He did not ask a million questions. He just sat next to me on the sofa and held my free hand. Suddenly my phone buzzed on the glass coffee table. It was my mother, Susan. I stared at the screen, flashing her name. David looked at it, then looked at me. "You do not have to answer that, Maya," he said softly. "I have to know what she will say," I whispered. "I need to know if she was part of this." I swiped the green button and put the phone on speaker so David could hear. "Maya, what is wrong with you?" My mother's voice was sharp and loud. She was not asking how I felt. She was attacking me. "Mom, your father's blood pressure is dangerously high," she snapped. "He had to take a pill and lie down. Leo has been crying in his room all day. He lost out on a great job because he has no truck, and it is all your fault." My heart broke into a million tiny pieces. She knew. My mother knew exactly what they were doing, and she thought it was perfectly fine. "Mom, they tried to use my name to get a $60,000 loan without asking me. That is fraud. That is a crime." "Oh, stop being so dramatic," she yelled. "Fraud? He is your father. He changed your diapers. He paid for your food when you were little. You owe him. He was just trying to help your poor brother. Why do you always have to make things so difficult for this family?" "I am not making it difficult, Mom. I am protecting my life. What if Leo stopped paying the bill? The bank would ruin my credit. They could take my house. We would never let that happen. We are your blood," she cried. She sounded like she was the victim, like I was the one hurting them. Then her voice turned cold, just like my dad's. "You have changed since you married David. He is putting bad, selfish ideas in your head. You are breaking this family apart over a piece of paper. When you are ready to apologize to your father, you can call us." She hung up. I dropped the phone on the rug. The silence in the living room was so loud it hurt my ears. I looked at David. The heavy stone in my stomach finally cracked open. The tears came like a flood. They burned my eyes and my throat. "She didn't even ask if I was okay," I choked out, covering my face with my hands. "She didn't care that they lied to me. She just cared that Leo didn't get his toy." David moved closer and wrapped his arms around me. He held me tight against his chest. "I know," he said quietly. "I am so sorry, Maya. I am so sorry they are like this." I cried into his shirt until I could not breathe. The grief was so heavy. For 28 years I thought if I was just good enough, quiet enough, and helpful enough, they would finally love me. I thought if I paid for Leo's tires, or bought the expensive Christmas gifts, they would see my value. But sitting there in the dark, the ultimate betrayal became crystal clear. They did not love me. They loved my perfect credit score. They loved my nurse's salary. To them, I was not a daughter or a sister. I was just a bank they could use. And because I finally locked the vault, I was suddenly the villain of the family. 2 weeks passed. It was Thursday, November 2nd, 2023. The silence from my family was like a heavy dark cloud. Nobody called. Nobody texted. My cousin Sarah had her baby shower on Sunday, October 29. I saw the pictures on Facebook. My mother, my dad, Leo, and all my aunts were there, smiling and holding tiny blue socks. I was not invited. I spent that Sunday sitting on my bed, staring at the wall, while David quietly folded the laundry. The pain of being cut off from your own blood is a very strange kind of grief. You are mourning people who are still alive. They were just living their happy lives without me, completely fine with throwing me away because I refused to be their bank. I was finishing my shift at Mercy West Hospital at 3:15 p.m. I was washing my hands with the strong pink hospital soap when my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. The screen said Aunt Carol. Aunt Carol is my dad's older sister. She is the peacemaker of the family. She always bakes cookies and sends birthday cards with $10 bills inside. My heart did a little jump. Maybe someone finally understood me. Maybe she was calling to see if I was okay. I dried my hands with a paper towel and answered. "Hello? Aunt Carol? Maya, honey, how are you?" Her voice was soft, like she was talking to a sick person. I have been better, I said honestly, leaning against the cold bathroom tiles. I know, sweetie, I know, she sighed. Look, I am calling because this whole fight is getting out of hand. Your dad is not sleeping. Your mom was crying at Sarah's baby shower. You are tearing this family apart, Maya. The hope in my chest died instantly. She was not calling to check on me. She was calling to fix the problem for my dad. She was an enabler. I am tearing the family apart? I asked. My voice shook a little. Aunt Carol, Dad tried to buy a $60,000 truck in my name. He forged my signature at the Ford dealership. Oh, Maya, stop using big words like forged. It makes him sound like a criminal. She scolded me gently. You know how Robert is. He is a proud man. He just wanted to help little Leo get on his feet. You have so much, and Leo has so little. So he can steal my identity? I asked, feeling my chest tighten. Aunt Carol, if Leo crashes that truck, I go into debt. I could lose my nursing license if I declare bankruptcy. Why is nobody thinking about my life? Because you always figure things out, Maya. Aunt Carol snapped. Her soft voice was gone now. She sounded annoyed, just like my mother. You are being so dramatic about this. It is not like this is the first time your dad did something like this. He always fixes it. I stopped breathing for a second. The hospital hallway outside seemed to go completely silent. What do you mean, not the first time? I asked slowly. Aunt Carol hesitated. I could hear her breathing on the phone. She knew she said too much. Nothing. I just mean he is a good provider, she said quickly. No, I said. My voice dropped. It was not shaking anymore. It was cold and hard. You said not the first time. What did he do before, Aunt Carol? Maya, let it go. Tell me, I demanded. I had never yelled at an elder in my family before. Never. Fine. Aunt Carol shot back angrily. You act like you are so perfect and independent. Who do you think paid off that $3,500 Capital One credit card when you were in nursing school back in 2018? Your dad opened it in your name to help pay for family groceries when your mom lost her job. He paid every single monthly bill and closed it himself. You didn't even notice. He helped the family using your good name and nobody got hurt. So why are you acting like he is a monster now? My mind went completely blank. I held the phone to my ear, but I could not speak. In 2018, I was working double shifts at a diner to pay for my nursing books. I ate instant noodles for dinner every night for a year. I never had a Capital One credit card. My dad stole my identity 5 years ago. He opened a credit card, maxed it out, and paid it off behind my back. My Aunt Carol knew. My mom probably knew. The whole family knew my dad used my name like a free ticket, and they all kept the secret. Maya, are you there? Aunt Carol asked. Just call your dad. Apologize. Unlock the file so Leo can get his truck, and we can all be a happy family again for Thanksgiving. I did not say goodbye. I just pressed the red button and hung up. I did not cry this time. The sadness was completely gone. In its place, a hot, burning fire started in my chest. For years, I thought I was the problem. I thought I just needed to be a better daughter. But they were playing a sick game behind my back. I walked out of the hospital, got into my car, and drove straight home. When I opened the front door, David was at the kitchen table, grading math tests with a red pen. He looked up and saw my face. He put the pen down immediately. What happened? He asked. He stood up. I walked over to the table and put my purse down. David, I said. My voice was very calm. Too calm. I need you to help me. Help you do what? Aunt Carol just told me my dad opened a credit card in my name back in 2018, a $3,500 limit. He kept it a secret. David's eyes went wide. His jaw tightened. He realized exactly what that meant. If my dad did it in 2018 and tried to do it in 2023, what else did he do in between? We only locked your credit file 3 weeks ago, David said quietly. We never actually pulled the full history report to look at it. Exactly, I said. I pulled my laptop out of my bag and set it on the kitchen table. I need to see everything, every single loan, every card, every address. I want to know exactly who this family really is. David pulled up a chair next to me. He opened his own laptop. We were not just husband and wife anymore. We were a team. I was done being the blind, quiet victim. I was going to find out the truth, and I was going to find every single piece of proof. Let's pull the reports from all 3 bureaus, David said, typing quickly on the keyboard. Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. The screen loaded. A little spinning circle appeared on the white background. We waited in silence as the computer searched through my entire financial life. I stared at the screen, ready to face the secret my family worked so hard to hide. The little blue circle on the laptop screen spun round and round. The hum of the computer fan was the only sound in the kitchen. Then the screen flashed white. A 42-page PDF document loaded. It was my full credit history from annualcreditreport.com. David leaned closer to the screen. He scrolled past my address and my hospital job history. We went straight to the closed accounts section. Aunt Carol was telling the truth. There it was, Capital One credit card. Opened, March 10, 2018. Closed, December 15, 2019. Highest balance, $3,450. Payment history, paid on time. My dad really did it. He stole my name when I was 22 years old, living on instant noodles and working double shifts at a dirty diner just to pay for my nursing books. Okay, David said quietly. His voice was tight. He paid it off, but let's look at the open accounts. David scrolled down the page. Auto loan, Honda Civic. Balance, $4,500. That was mine. Student loan, Department of Education. Balance, $12,000. That was mine. Then, my eyes caught a third line. My heart slammed against my ribs. Personal loan, First National Bank. Opened, May 12, 2022. Original amount, $18,000. Current balance, $11,200. Address attached to the loan, 442 Maple Drive. David, what is that? I asked. I pointed at the screen. My finger was shaking so much it tapped the glass. I never took out an $18,000 loan last year. David's face turned pale. He clicked on the account details. Monthly payment is $450. It is set up on autopay from an account I do not recognize. Maya, they have an active loan in your name right now. David clicked another button to view the loan's origin. It looks like he applied for this online. He must have used your old tax forms and pay stubs from the file cabinet, and the money was deposited into that old college bank account you stopped using, the one he was a joint owner on. My mind flashed back to May 2022. It was a terrible month. The baby ICU was short-staffed. I was working 60 hours a week. I had dark purple bags under my eyes. I was so tired I cried in my car after every shift. I remembered going to Sunday dinner at my parents' house at the end of that May. My mother was so happy. She was showing off her brand new kitchen. She had shiny white marble countertops, a new double oven, and expensive hardwood floors. I remembered standing in that beautiful new kitchen, drinking a cheap cup of coffee, feeling so tired I could barely stand. How did you afford this, Dad? I had asked him. My dad had smiled his perfect warm smile and patted my shoulder. Hard work pays off, Maya. Your old man made some smart savings choices. I stared at the laptop screen. A cold, dark feeling spread through my veins. He didn't make smart choices. He stole $18,000 from my future. While I was killing myself at the hospital to save sick babies, my parents were using my name to buy marble countertops so they could show off to their friends. I am calling the police, David said. He reached for his phone. His face was hard and angry. No, wait, I said. I grabbed his hand. David looked at me, confused. Maya, this is a crime. They are robbing you. I know, I said. My voice sounded different. It was deeper, slower. The scared, crying girl from 2 weeks ago was dead. The shock was gone. The grief was gone. All that was left inside me was a sharp, burning focus. If we call the police right now, my dad will lie. He will tell the cops I gave him permission. My mother and Leo will lie for him too. It will be 3 against 1. I need hard proof, David. I need the papers. David slowly put his phone down. He nodded. You are right. We need the original loan documents. We need the signatures. The next day was Friday, November 3rd, 2023. During my lunch break at the hospital, I locked myself in my car. I called First National Bank customer service. My hands were not shaking anymore. Hello, my name is Maya Reynolds, I told the bank lady. I need a copy of my original loan agreement from May 2022 emailed to me. The lady asked me security questions. What is your social security number? What is your date of birth? What street did you live on in 2015? Because it was my real identity, I answered every question perfectly. My dad could fake my name, but the file was still mine. Thank you, Maya, the lady said. I am emailing the PDF package to you right now. That evening, David and I sat at the kitchen table. We bought a thick black binder from the store, a pack of clear plastic sleeves, and a new ink cartridge for our printer. We opened the email from the bank and printed the 15-page loan agreement. I flipped to the last page. There was the signature line, Maya Reynolds. I stared at it. It was not even a good fake. It was my dad's handwriting. He wrote my name in his big loopy letters. He didn't even try to make it look like my small, neat handwriting. He was that confident. He was so sure I would never find out, or that I would be too weak to stop him. David put a hand on my shoulder. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. I looked up at my husband. He was the one who held me when I cried. He was the one who told me to lock my credit. He was my real family. "I am fine," I said. I punched holes in the paper and snapped it into the black binder. "DNA is just biology, David. They are not my family. They are just people who used me." I closed the binder. It made a loud smack sound in the quiet kitchen. "What do we do now?" David asked. "Now," I said, looking at the black binder, "we get ready for Thanksgiving, Monday, November 6, 2023. The black binder went everywhere with me. I put it in my work bag. I kept it in the passenger seat of my car. It was no longer just a piece of plastic and paper. It was my shield. It was 2 p.m. at Mercy West Hospital. I was sitting in the corner of the break room, drinking a cold cup of black coffee. The black binder was open on the table in front of me. I was looking at the forged signature again. I was trying to understand how a father could do this. "You are going to burn a hole in that paper if you keep staring at it." I looked up. It was Elena. Elena was the head charge nurse of the baby ICU. She was 55 years old, with short gray hair and sharp brown eyes. She was tough. When doctors made mistakes, Elena corrected them. When young nurses cried, Elena taught them how to be strong. She was the most grounded, hyper-realistic person I knew. I quickly tried to close the binder. "It is nothing, Elena, just some bills." Elena sat down in the plastic chair across from me. She smelled like sterile alcohol wipes and strong peppermint lotion. She looked at my tired eyes, then at the black binder. "Maya, you are a great nurse. You chart every single heartbeat of those babies out there," Elena said softly. Her voice was not mean, it was steady. "But you are a terrible liar. What is in the book?" I looked at her. For the first time in weeks, I did not feel like crying. I just felt tired. "My family," I said quietly. I opened the binder. I showed Elena the $18,000 loan from First National Bank. I showed her the fake signature. I told her about the truck, and how my dad opened a secret credit card back in 2018 when I was eating instant noodles. Elena did not gasp. She did not act shocked. She just looked at the papers with a cold, professional eye, like she was reading a patient's medical chart. "My mother and my aunt knew," I whispered. "They let him do it. They think I am the bad guy for locking my credit." Elena closed the binder and pushed it back to me. "DNA is just biology, Maya," Elena said. Her voice was firm. "Sometimes, the people who share your blood are the most toxic people in the world. They think because they gave you life, they own your life." I took a deep breath. "David and I are going to confront them at Thanksgiving dinner. I am going to show them this binder." Elena shook her head slowly. "No, that is a bad plan." I frowned. "Why?" "It is proof. Because your father is a manipulator," Elena explained. She leaned forward. "If you just show him a printed paper, he will twist the story. He will tell the whole family that you knew about the loan and you just forgot. He will say he had your permission. A piece of paper from the bank is not enough to trap a man like him. You need real iron." "What is real iron?" I asked. "The law," Elena said simply. "You need an official identity theft report from the FTC, and you need a police report with a blue stamp on it. You do not have to press charges and send him to jail today, but you need that official file number. When you drop a police report on the dinner table, the game is over. He cannot talk his way out of a federal crime." I felt a chill go down my arms. A police report. It felt so heavy. It felt so final. Elena reached out and squeezed my hand. Her hand was rough from washing it 100 times a day, but it was warm. "Maya, they are counting on you being a scared little girl. Show them you are a grown woman. Build your case." She was right. Elena was my chosen family in that moment. She gave me the strength my own mother never gave me. The next morning, Tuesday, November 7th, 2023. It was 9 a.m. David and I walked into the downtown police station. It smelled like old paper, wet boots, and cheap coffee. The wooden benches were hard and cold. We sat down at the desk of Officer Davis. He was a tired-looking man with a thick mustache. "How can I help you folks?" he asked. I opened the black binder. I took out the FTC identity theft affidavit that David and I filled out online the night before. Then, I took out the bank loan papers. "I need to report identity theft and loan fraud," I said. My voice was completely steady, no shaking, no tears. Officer Davis looked at the papers. "Do you know who did it?" "Yes," I said. "My father, Robert Reynolds." Officer Davis paused. He looked up at me. He had probably seen a lot of family fights in his job. Ma'am, if I write this up, it goes into the federal system. The bank will start a fraud investigation. Your father could face serious trouble. I understand, I said. You are sure? He asked. A lot of people change their minds when it is family. I thought about my mother yelling at me. I thought about Aunt Carol telling me I was tearing the family apart. I thought about my dad calling me a spoiled brat while trying to steal $60,000. I am sure, I said. Officer Davis typed on his computer for 20 minutes. The sound of his keyboard clicking echoed in the quiet police station. Every click was a brick in the new wall I was building between me and my toxic family. Finally, the printer on his desk whirred to life. He handed me a thick white paper. It had a bright blue police stamp at the top. Case number 449021 BAB, identity theft. Suspect, Robert Reynolds. Keep this safe, Officer Davis said. Give a copy to your bank. They will freeze the $18,000 loan and remove it from your credit history. The fraud department will take it from here. Thank you, officer, David said. He put his hand on the small of my back as we walked out. When we got back to our Honda Civic, I put the police report into the very first plastic sleeve of the black binder. It looked beautiful. It was cold, hard, hyper-realistic proof. David started the car. How do you feel? He asked. I looked out the window at the brown autumn leaves falling from the trees. I feel ready, I said. Thanksgiving was exactly 16 days away. My family always hosted a huge dinner. All the aunts, uncles, and cousins would be there. My dad would stand at the head of the table and act like the perfect loving father. But this year I was not going to be the quiet, obedient daughter. This year I was bringing the black binder. Wednesday, November 15th, 2023. Exactly 8 days before Thanksgiving. Outside, a light rain was falling. The rain hit the living room window with a soft tapping sound. The house smelled like the chicken soup David was cooking in the kitchen. I was sitting on the living room floor. The black binder was open in front of me. I was looking at the bank papers again. The police report was safe in the front pocket. I felt different now. The old Maya was always afraid of making someone angry. But this new Maya felt nothing but a cold, clear focus. David walked in with 2 bowls of hot soup. He sat down next to me on the carpet. I was looking at the loan dates again, I told him. I pointed my pen at the second page of the bank file. David, look at this. The loan was for $18,000, but the money did not go to my parents' bank account all at once. David put his spoon down and leaned closer. Look, I traced the line of text. On May 14, 2022, a check was cut directly from the bank for $12,500. The paper says it went to a business called Apex Auto Repair and Towing. David frowned. That is not a kitchen company. Why would your dad spend $12,000 at a towing and repair shop? My mind went back to May 2022. I closed my eyes. The memories started playing in my head like an old movie. It was the first week of May last year. I got a frantic call from my mother in the middle of my night shift. She was crying. Leo had taken his sports car out late at night. He hit a street lamp. His car was completely destroyed. But worse than that, Leo had been drinking. My dad had rushed to the scene before the police arrived. He paid the tow truck driver in cash to take the car away quietly. He bribed someone to keep Leo out of jail. They hid it, I whispered. My eyes flew open. My heart started beating fast, not with fear but with anger. David, the loan wasn't just for my mom's shiny new marble kitchen. What do you mean? David asked. Leo crashed his car that month. He was drunk. My dad paid off the tow truck company and the auto body shop so Leo wouldn't get a police record. Dad didn't have $12,000 in cash, so he stole my identity to get a loan. He used my name to save his golden boy. The whole room felt perfectly silent. The secret was not just about money anymore. It was the family's biggest truth. My father risked my entire future, my credit, and my nursing license, just to clean up Leo's crime. And the leftover money? The extra $5,500? That is what they used to buy my mother's new kitchen countertops. My own blood relatives were destroying my life, just so Leo could live in peace. Suddenly, my phone vibrated on the carpet. The screen lit up. New voicemail from Mom. I looked at David. He nodded. I pressed play and put it on speaker. Maya, honey, my mother's voice filled the room. She sounded so sweet, so gentle. It was her perfect, loving mother voice. Thanksgiving is next Thursday. Your father is very sad. He bought a huge turkey, the one you like. Leo is asking about you too. Please, sweetie, just come home. Don't take small things to heart. We are family. You are sensible. Just unlock that silly credit file, apologize to your dad, and let's have a nice dinner. I love you, sweetie. Beep. The message ended. A month ago that voicemail would have made me cry. I would have felt guilty. I would have thought, maybe I am ruining the family over a silly file. But today, listening to her sweet fake words, I felt sick. She wasn't calling because she missed me. She was calling because the Ford dealership was probably still waiting for the credit lock to open. She was calling because they needed their bank, me, to come back and play the game. Real-life manipulators don't always yell. Sometimes, they use love and guilt as a weapon. They act like you are crazy for being hurt. Small things, I repeated quietly. Identity theft, fraud, covering up a drunk driving crash. She calls it small things. What do you want to do? David asked softly. He never pushed me. He just stood behind me, ready to support whatever I chose. I looked at the black binder. Then I looked at David. Grab your car keys, I said. I stood up and smoothed out my jeans. We are going to the FedEx copy store. That evening, the FedEx store was bright and quiet. The smell of hot paper and printer ink filled the air. I stood at the counter while the big copy machine whirred and clicked. I did not just want one black binder anymore. Print 5 copies of the entire file, please, I told the man behind the counter, and put them in clear plastic folders. The man nodded and started organizing the pages. David stood next to me. 5 copies, he asked quietly. Yes, I said. I looked at the papers sliding out of the machine. 1 for Dad, 1 for Mom, 1 for Aunt Carol, 1 for Uncle Jim, and 1 for Leo. They want to keep family secrets. Not anymore. I am going to give everyone their own personal copy. The man handed me a heavy brown paper bag filled with the 5 folders. They felt heavy in my hands. It was the weight of the truth. For 28 years I was the quiet, good daughter. I was the scapegoat. I absorbed their insults, their demands, and their lies. I let them use me because I wanted to be loved. I walked out of the store into the cold November night. The rain had stopped. The air felt crisp and clean. I was not going to hide in exile anymore. My rebuilding was complete. Elena was right. I had real iron now. Are you ready for next Thursday? David asked as he unlocked the car doors. I put the heavy bag of folders into the back seat. I looked at the dark sky. They think I am coming to say sorry, I said, my voice completely steady and cold. They have no idea what is coming to their dinner table. Thursday, November 23rd, 2023. Thanksgiving Day. The time was 2:15 p.m. The sky was a pale, cold gray. David and I were driving down Maple Drive. The heater in our Honda Civic was blowing warm air on my feet, but my hands were freezing. I was holding the heavy brown paper bag on my lap. Inside the bag were the 5 clear plastic folders. The police report, the bank loan, the tow truck receipt. My phone buzzed in my coat pocket. It was a text message from Elena at the hospital. Do not let them change the subject today. Hold the iron. Happy Thanksgiving. I took a deep breath and looked out the window. In the past, Thanksgiving morning was always a rush of stress and guilt for me. I used to wake up at 6 a.m. to come to my parents' house and help my mother chop onions, peel potatoes, and clean the kitchen. Leo would sleep until noon. My dad would watch football on the big TV. I did all the hard work, just hoping they would say, "Thank you, Maya. We appreciate you." They never did. Today was different. I was not wearing my old cooking clothes. I was wearing a sharp black sweater and dark jeans. I was not there to serve them. David parked the car behind Aunt Carol's gray sedan. Uncle Jim's big SUV was parked on the grass. The driveway was full. The whole family was inside. "Are you ready?" David asked. He turned off the car engine. The sudden silence in the car felt very loud. I looked at the beautiful 2-story house. The house with the shiny marble kitchen paid for by my stolen identity. "I am ready," I said. We walked up the concrete path. Dry autumn leaves crunched under our shoes. The smell of roasted turkey, melted butter, and cinnamon drifted through the front door. It smelled exactly like family. It smelled like a lie. I rang the doorbell. 10 seconds later, the door swung open. It was my mother, Susan. She was wearing a beautiful dark red dress and gold earrings. The moment she saw me, her face lit up with a bright, perfect smile. "Maya, you came," she said loudly. She stepped forward and wrapped her arms around me. The hug was tight, but it felt completely empty. She smelled like expensive perfume. I stood there, keeping my arms straight at my sides. I did not hug her back. She pulled away and patted my cheek. "I told your father you would come to your senses, Beta. Come inside. It is freezing out there." David walked in behind me, keeping his hand gently on the middle of my back. We walked into the living room. It was warm and crowded. The TV was loud, playing a football game. Uncle Jim was sitting on the sofa, drinking a beer. Aunt Carol was arranging plates on the dining table. And standing by the stone fireplace, holding a glass of whiskey, was my dad, Robert. He looked like a king holding court in his castle. When he saw me, he smiled. It was that warm, perfect father smile that he used for the outside world. He put his glass down and opened his arms wide. "Ah, there she is," my dad announced. His voice was booming and cheerful. "My daughter has arrived. The family is complete." He walked over and hugged me. I smelled the sharp whiskey on his breath and the cheap vanilla candles burning on the fireplace. "I knew you would stop this nonsense, Maya," he whispered in my ear so only I could hear. "Family is everything. You made the right choice." He thought I was there to surrender. He thought the toxic equilibrium was back to normal. The scapegoat had returned to take the blame, and the villain was playing the generous, forgiving hero. He let go of me and patted my shoulder. Suddenly, a voice came from the corner of the room. "Did you unlock the file yet?" I turned my head. It was Leo. He was slouched in a soft armchair, tapping aggressively on his brand new iPhone. He did not stand up to say hello. He did not ask how I was. "Hello to you too, Leo," I said quietly. My voice was very calm. "Seriously, Maya," Leo complained, rolling his eyes. "The Ford dealer is closed today for the holiday, but I need to call them first thing tomorrow morning. Did you lift the freeze on your social security number?" Aunt Carol quickly walked over from the dining table. She had a dish towel in her hand. She gave me a soft, pitying look. "Leo, let your sister breathe," Aunt Carol scolded him gently, but then she looked at me and smiled. She did the right thing coming home. Family matters should stay inside the family, right, Maya? No need to fight over a silly car loan. I looked at Aunt Carol, the enabler. She knew about the 2018 credit card. She probably knew about the $18,000 bank loan too. She wanted me to just smile, eat turkey, and let my father ruin my life, just so the family could have a quiet dinner. I looked around the room. Every single person was looking at me, expecting me to say, "Yes, I am sorry. Yes, I unlocked my credit. You can use me again." "Dinner is ready," my mother suddenly announced cheerfully from the kitchen. She carried a massive golden-brown turkey to the center of the large wooden dining table. "Everyone sit down. Robert, come carve the meat." People started moving toward the dining room. Chairs scraped against the hardwood floor. David pulled out a chair for me. I sat down right in the middle of the table. Leo sat across from me. My dad stood at the head of the table, picking up the large carving knife and the fork. I placed the heavy brown paper bag on the floor, right next to my feet. "It has been a difficult few weeks," my dad said loudly. He tapped the knife against his glass to get everyone's attention. The room went quiet. Even the TV in the background seemed to fade away. My dad looked right at me. His eyes were full of fake love and real control. "But today is about being thankful," my dad continued, his voice smooth and persuasive. "Families fight, people make mistakes, but blood is thicker than water. Maya is here today because she knows that a father's love is forever, and we forgive her for the misunderstandings." He smiled at me, expecting me to nod. I didn't nod. I reached down to the floor. The paper bag made a loud crinkling sound in the quiet room. I pulled out the 5 clear plastic folders. The time for crying was over. The time for the truth had arrived. I did not stand up. I stayed in my chair. My hands were not shaking at all. I picked up the first clear plastic folder. The plastic made a sharp, scratching sound as I slid it across the smooth wooden table. It stopped right next to my dad's plate. Next, I slid a folder to my mother, then one to Aunt Carol, one to Uncle Jim, and the last one across the table to Leo. My dad looked down at the folder. He did not touch it. The warm, fake smile on his face froze. He gripped the large turkey carving knife a little tighter in his right hand. "What is this, Maya? Don't make a scene," my dad said. His voice was still quiet, but it had a sharp edge to it now. "We are about to eat. Put these silly papers away." "Open it," I said. My voice was very calm. I did not yell. I did not cry. "All of you, open them." Uncle Jim was the first one to open it. He was not part of the core toxic circle. He was just married to Aunt Carol. He flipped open the plastic cover and frowned at the first few pages. "Robert, what is this?" Uncle Jim asked, fixing his reading glasses. "It looks like a bank loan agreement from First National, for $18,000. "It is just some old paperwork, Jim," my dad said quickly. He laughed, but it sounded forced and nervous. "Maya is confused about some bills. Give it to me, Maya. We will talk about this tomorrow." "I am not confused, Dad," I said, looking right into his eyes. "That is an active $18,000 loan, opened in May 2022. The signature at the bottom of page 15 says Maya Reynolds, but I did not sign it. You did. Aunt Carol gasped. She quickly pushed her folder away like it was on fire. Maya, please, not today. It is Thanksgiving, she whispered loudly. She was the classic enabler, always trying to cover up the ugly truth with a nice dinner. My mother, Susan, suddenly slammed her hand flat on the table. The water glasses shook. You have gone mad, my mother yelled. Her face turned red. She pointed a finger at me. Your father did that for us. Look at this beautiful kitchen. Look at the marble countertops, the new oven. He made this house perfect for the family. You have so much money from your hospital job. Why do you care about a piece of paper? He is your father. The whole table went silent. David, sitting right next to me, let out a slow, quiet breath. He did not say a word, but his knee touched mine under the table. He was my anchor. I looked at my mother. She was so proud of her kitchen. She really believed that was the whole story. You think he spent $18,000 on this kitchen, Mom? I asked softly. My mother blinked. What do you mean? Of course he did. Turn to page 3, I said to the table. Everyone, turn to page 3. Uncle Jim turned the page. He squinted at the paper. It is a copy of a bank check, Jim read out loud, for $12,500, dated May 14, 2022, made out to Apex Auto Repair and Towing. My mother froze. What? Robert, what towing company? I turned my head and looked directly at Leo. He was slouched in his chair, but his phone was completely forgotten on the table. His face was pure white, like all the blood had drained out of his body. You crashed your sports car in May 2022, didn't you, Leo? I said. Every word was clear and heavy in the quiet dining room. Late at night, on a Tuesday. You were drinking. Shut up, Leo yelled, sitting up straight. You don't know anything. Dad went to the crash scene before the police arrived, I continued. I was connecting the dots for everyone in the room. The secret was finally out in the open. He paid the tow truck driver in cash to take your destroyed car away quietly. He paid the auto body shop to keep their mouths shut. It cost $12,500 to keep the golden boy out of jail and keep his record clean. My mother slowly turned her head to look at my dad. Robert, is this true? You told me you sold the car because the engine died. My dad did not answer her. He was staring at me. His warm, loving father mask was completely gone. His face was hard, cold, and full of pure hatred. He looked at me like I was an enemy soldier, not his daughter. You shut your mouth right now in my house, Maya, my dad said. His voice was low and dangerous. No more fake sweetness, no more public charm. This was the real him. You stole my identity, Dad, I said, leaning forward just a little. You committed federal fraud, not to buy Mom a kitchen. The kitchen was just the extra $5,500 left over from the loan. You bought the kitchen to keep Mom happy and quiet so she would not ask questions. You risked my nursing license, my credit, and my future, just to cover up Leo's crime. The grandfather clock in the hallway ticked loudly. Tick, tick, tick. The smell of the roasted turkey suddenly felt nauseating. The perfect family dinner was completely shattered. Robert, Uncle Jim said. He looked disgusted. He pushed his chair back a few inches. Is she telling the truth? Did you put this girl's name on a loan for a tow truck? She is lying, my dad shouted. He slammed the carving knife down on the table. It made a loud clack against the wood. She gave me permission. She told me I could use her name. She is just making up this dramatic story because she is jealous of Leo. She has always been a selfish, jealous girl. He was doing exactly what Elena said he would do. He was manipulating the facts. He was playing the victim. He was trying to make me look like the crazy, jealous sister. I looked at him. I did not feel any fear. You think I am lying? I asked quietly. You think I gave you permission to steal my name? Yes, my dad barked. He puffed his chest out, trying to look big and intimidating. And nobody here is going to believe your stupid lies over me. I slowly reached into my bag and pulled out the very first page of the folder. The one with the bright blue stamp. I held the single sheet of paper in the air. The bright blue ink of the police stamp looked very dark against the white page. Look at the first page in your folders, I said to the table. My voice was low, but it cut through the silence like a sharp knife. Uncle Jim flipped to the first page. He adjusted his glasses again. His lips moved slightly as he read the thick black letters at the top. Case number 449021B, Uncle Jim read out loud. His voice was actually shaking now. Filed on November 7, 2023, Downtown Police Station. Official report of identity theft and bank fraud. Suspect, Jim swallowed hard. He looked up at my dad. Suspect, Robert Reynolds. Aunt Carol let out a loud, high-pitched gasp and covered her mouth with both hands. Police? Maya, you filed a police case against your own father? My mother stood up so fast her wooden chair fell backward and hit the floor with a loud bang. Withdraw it, my mother screamed. Her face was completely pale, and her eyes were wide with panic. Maya, call them right now and tell them it is a mistake. You are ruining the respect of this house. Are you crazy? They will arrest him. I looked at my mother. I felt a strange kind of pity for her. Even now, looking at the pure proof that her husband was a liar and a thief, she was only worried about the respect of the family. She did not care that he stole from me. She only cared that the outside world might find out. I am not withdrawing anything, Mom, I said smoothly. I placed my copy of the police report on the table. I did not call the police to make a mistake. I called them to stop a crime. I turned my eyes back to my dad. He was staring at the paper in Uncle Jim's hands. The carving knife was still resting on the table near his plate. For the first time in my entire life, my dad looked small. The big, loud, charming man was gone. Real-life manipulators are very brave when they are fighting in the dark. They use guilt, they twist your words, and they make you feel like you are crazy. But when you turn on the bright lights of the law, when you bring actual facts and a blue police stamp, their tricks stop working. You, my dad stammered. He pointed a shaking finger at me. You went to the cops. Over a stupid loan? I am your father. I gave you a roof over your head. I fed you. You fed me, I replied, my voice completely steady, and then you stole my name to pay for Leo's drunk driving crash. And 2 weeks ago, you sat in a Ford dealership and tried to steal $60,000 more. This is not family, Dad. This is fraud. What about my truck? Leo suddenly yelled. I looked across the table at my younger brother. He looked like a panicked child. The Ford dealer said the police called them yesterday, Leo said, his voice cracking. The police came in and confiscated the CCTV video and my application as evidence. The dealer told me if I ever step foot on their property again, they will have me arrested. Leo turned to our dad. Dad, you said she wouldn't do anything. You said she was too soft. Now I can't get a truck, and the cops know about the crash in 2022. Shut up, Leo, my dad roared. His face was purple with rage. The veins on his neck were popping out. But it was too late. The secret was completely naked in the middle of the room. The toxic equilibrium was totally broken. Uncle Jim stood up. He threw his napkin on the table. He looked at Aunt Carol. Get your coat, Carol. We are leaving. Jim, wait, the dinner, Aunt Carol cried, looking at the untouched turkey. She was still trying to be the enabler, still trying to fix the unfixable. It is Thanksgiving. I am not eating dinner with a man who steals his daughter's identity to cover up a drunk driving accident, Uncle Jim said coldly. He looked at my dad with pure disgust. You are a sick man, Robert. Jim, don't walk out of my house, my dad shouted, trying to use his loud, commanding voice. This is a private family matter. Not anymore, it isn't, Jim said. He grabbed Aunt Carol's arm and pulled her toward the front door. A few seconds later, the heavy front door slammed shut. The sound of the door closing echoed in the living room. It was just the 5 of us left. The roasted turkey was getting cold. The gravy in the bowl was forming a thick, ugly skin on top. The smell of the food suddenly made me feel sick to my stomach. My mother started crying, real heavy tears, but she was not crying for me. Look what you did, my mother sobbed, pointing a shaking finger at me. Are you happy now, Maya? You broke our family. You ruined Thanksgiving. Did you get your revenge? I didn't break the family, Mom, I said softly. I felt a deep, raw grief in my chest, but I did not let any tears fall. Dad broke it when he forged my name. You broke it when you helped him hide it. I just turned on the lights. My dad took a step toward me. His hands were curled into tight fists. You ungrateful little brat, he hissed, his voice dropping low. I will never forgive you for this, you hear me? Never. You are dead to me. He wanted to scare me. He wanted me to break down and beg for his forgiveness. He wanted the old Maya back. I looked at him. I looked at the angry, toxic man who had used me for 28 years. And for the first time I felt absolutely nothing. No fear, no guilt. No need for his love. I am already dead to you, Dad, I said. I was never your daughter. I was just a social security number. I reached down and picked up my black binder from the floor. David stood up next to me. He did not say a word, but his body language was clear. He stood tall, a solid wall between me and my father. The fraud department at First National Bank is handling the 2022 loan, I told my dad, keeping my voice very professional and dry. They will be sending you a legal letter by next week. You owe them $11,200. If you do not pay them, they will press federal charges. I suggest you sell the marble countertops. My dad just stood there, breathing heavily, completely trapped by his own actions. There were no magical quick fixes. The law doesn't care about family respect. The law only cares about facts. I turned around and started walking toward the front door. David opened the heavy front door for me. We stepped out of the house and onto the front porch. The cold November air hit my face. It felt so fresh. It felt so clean. Behind me, the house was completely silent. There was no more yelling. There were no more fake smiles. The toxic game was finally over. We walked down the concrete path to our Honda Civic. The dry autumn leaves crunched under our shoes. I did not look back. I did not want to see the house with the marble kitchen ever again. I got into the passenger seat. I put my black binder on my lap. David got into the driver's seat and started the engine. The heater turned on, blowing warm air against my cold legs. As we drove away from Maple Drive, the adrenaline in my blood started to drop. My hands began to shake. My chest felt so tight it hurt. I leaned my head against the cold glass of the car window and closed my eyes. Tears started falling down my face. I wasn't crying because I missed them. I was crying because I was grieving the family I never had. I was crying for the father I never had. I always wanted a dad who would protect me, but I got a dad who threw me in front of a bus to save his golden boy. David reached over and held my hand. He didn't tell me to stop crying. He just drove through the quiet streets, letting me feel the pain. "You did it, Maya," David said softly. "You stood up for yourself. The hardest part is over." "It hurts," I whispered. "I know," he said. "But it is a clean hurt. The poison is finally out." 2 weeks passed. It was Thursday, December 7th, 2023. The world did not end. The sky did not fall. My life actually became very quiet and peaceful. Without my mother calling me to complain about Leo, and without my dad demanding money for family favors, I had so much free time. I was sitting in the break room at Mercy West Hospital at 1 p.m. I was eating a turkey sandwich. Elena, the head charge nurse, walked in. She poured herself a cup of black coffee and sat across from me. "How is the credit file looking?" Elena asked. Her sharp brown eyes watched me closely. I smiled. It was a real, genuine smile. I opened my phone and tapped on the Experian app. I turned the screen so she could see it. "The fraud department at First National Bank finished their investigation," I told her. Because I had the official police report, the bank agreed it was identity theft. They put a permanent fraud hold on the $18,000 loan and removed it from my credit score while the district attorney builds the criminal case. Elena nodded, looking pleased. "Good. Iron always wins. What about your father?" My smile faded a little, but my voice stayed completely steady. "The bank sent him a legal demand letter on Monday. He has 30 days to pay the remaining balance of $11,200. If he misses the deadline, the bank's lawyers are taking him to federal court for fraud." There were no magical quick fixes in the real world. My dad could not charm his way out of a bank contract. He could not manipulate a judge. The law was a cold, hard machine, and it was coming for him. Suddenly, my phone buzzed on the table. The caller ID said unknown number. Since Thanksgiving, I had blocked my dad, my mom, and Leo, but sometimes they tried to call from different phones. I looked at Elena. She took a sip of her coffee and pointed at the phone. "Answer it. Set the boundary." I swiped the green button and put the phone on speaker. "Hello?" I said. "Maya, thank God." It was Leo. His voice was high and panicky. He sounded completely desperate. "Listen, you have to talk to Dad. You have to fix this." "Fix what, Leo?" I asked calmly. "The bank. They froze Dad's checking account," Leo cried out. "He tried to buy groceries this morning and his debit card declined. The bank says they are holding his money until the fraud investigation goes to court, and Mom is crying because the neighbors are starting to ask questions." I felt a small twist in my stomach, but I quickly pushed it away. They were still trying to make me the fixer. They still wanted the scapegoat to come back and save them. "That sounds like a legal problem, Leo," I said. My voice was as dry as dust. "He should call a lawyer." "Maya, please," Leo begged. He sounded like a frightened little boy, not a 25-year-old man. "I lost my landscaping job because I don't have a truck. Dad is screaming at me every single day. He blames me for the money. The house is a nightmare. Please, just call the cops and tell them you made a mistake. Tell them you gave him permission." "No," I said. "But you are my sister," Leo yelled, trying to use guilt one last time. "We are blood. DNA is just biology, Leo," I replied softly. "Actions are what make a family. You and Dad made your choices in May 2022 when you crashed that car. Now you have to pay the bill. Maya, you can't just leave us like this." "Goodbye, Leo," I said. I pressed the red button. The call ended. The line went dead. I did not feel angry anymore. I did not feel sad. I just felt completely free. Elena looked at me and raised her coffee cup in the air. "To the new boundary," she said. I picked up my water bottle and tapped it against her cup. To the new boundary. The toxic chain was finally broken, but the story wasn't completely finished yet. There was one last piece of mail I needed to send before the year ended. Friday, December 15th, 2023. The time was 4:30 p.m. The winter air was freezing. Light snow was falling in our neighborhood, covering the front yards in a thin white blanket. I parked my Honda Civic in the driveway and walked up to my black metal mailbox at the end of the street. Inside, there were a few grocery store flyers, an electricity bill, and one plain white envelope. I pulled the envelope out. There was no return address on the top left corner, but I did not need one. I knew the handwriting immediately. It was the big loopy handwriting of my father, Robert. The exact same handwriting he used to forge my name on the bank loan. My heart did a tiny jump, but it was not out of fear. It was just a heavy, tired feeling. I walked inside the house. The heater was running, making a soft humming sound. David was in the kitchen, cooking pasta. The house smelled like warm garlic and olive oil. It smelled like my real home. I took off my wet winter boots and walked into the kitchen. I dropped the flyers on the counter and held up the white envelope. David stopped stirring the pasta. He looked at the envelope. "Is that from him?" "Yes," I said quietly. David wiped his hands on a kitchen towel. He did not tell me what to do. He just looked at me with soft, understanding eyes. "You don't have to open it, Maya. You can throw it right in the trash." I looked at my name written in blue ink. "No," I said. "I need to see what he wrote. I need to know if he finally understands what he did." I slid my finger under the paper flap and ripped it open. There was one single sheet of lined notebook paper inside. I unfolded it and started reading. "My dear daughter Maya, I am writing this because my blood pressure is very bad, and your mother is crying every night. The house feels very empty without you. We miss you. I know you are very angry. I want to say I am sorry for the mess. But Maya, you have to try and understand my desperate situation. Back in May 2022, Leo was crying in the middle of the night. His car was completely destroyed. The police were coming. As a father, my only job is to protect my children. I panicked. I didn't have the cash to pay the tow truck and the auto shop. I used your name because I knew your credit was perfect. I was going to pay it back, I promise. But things got hard. I am a proud man, Maya. I could not ask you for money directly. It was a mistake, but I did it for the family. A father sacrifices everything for his blood. The bank is taking me to federal court next month. They froze my checking account. I have no money to pay the lawyers. Please, Beta. You proved your point. You won. Now please call the bank. Tell them you knew about the loan. Save your father from going to jail. We can be a happy family again for Christmas. Love, Dad." I stopped reading. The kitchen was completely quiet except for the boiling water on the stove. I read the letter one more time. Then, I put the paper down on the marble counter. "What does it say?" David asked gently. I looked up at my husband. A single tear escaped my eye and rolled down my cheek, but it was not a tear of guilt. It was a tear of final acceptance. "He still thinks he is the hero," I whispered. My voice was completely raw. "He says he is sorry for the mess, but he justifies every single thing. He says he did it to protect Leo. He says he is a proud man. He actually believes that stealing my identity was an act of love for the family." This is the hardest truth about real-life manipulators. They never look in the mirror and see a villain. They see a victim. My dad truly believed he was a good father who was just forced to do bad things. He wanted me to lie to a federal bank and risk going to jail myself, just to save him. "Did you get your revenge?" I remembered my mother's words from Thanksgiving. They did not understand that this was never about revenge. It was about survival. "Are you going to reply to him?" David asked. "Yes," I said, "but not with a letter." I reached into my brown leather work bag sitting on the kitchen chair. I pulled out a thick, flat manila envelope. I had picked it up from a lawyer's office downtown during my lunch break that day. David saw the name of the law firm printed on the envelope, Miller & Associates Legal Group. "You got the papers?" David asked. I nodded. I pulled out 3 copies of a legal document. It was a formal cease and desist order. I did not write a long emotional letter back to my dad. I did not try to explain my feelings, because manipulators do not care about your feelings. They only care about control. The only way to stop a toxic family is to build an iron wall. I grabbed a black pen from the kitchen drawer. I signed my name at the bottom of the legal paper. Maya Reynolds. My real signature. The paper was very clear. It legally forbade Robert, Susan, and Leo Reynolds from contacting me by phone, by mail, or in person. It banned them from coming to my house at 42 Willow Creek Drive. It banned them from showing up at Mercy West Hospital. If they tried to contact me again, the lawyer would file harassment charges against them. "This is the new boundary," I said, looking at my signature. David smiled softly. "Let's go to the post office." We put our coats back on and drove through the falling snow to the local USPS post office. The sky was getting dark, but the streetlights made the snow sparkle. I walked up to the big blue mailbox on the sidewalk. I held the certified legal envelope in my hand. Inside was the final answer my dad would ever get from me. No more arguments, no more fake Sunday dinners, no more being the scapegoat. I opened the metal door of the mailbox. I let go of the envelope. Thud, it fell into the dark box. I stood there in the cold for a few seconds. I took a deep breath of the freezing winter air. Blood relation is just an accident of birth. Loyalty is a choice. My family chose to use me. Now I was choosing to walk away. I turned around and walked back to David's car. The new year was coming, and for the first time in 28 years my life finally belonged to me. 6 months passed. It was Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. Exactly 2 years to the day since my dad paid that $12,000 cash bribe to cover up Leo's drunk driving crash. The weather in our city was finally getting warm. I was sitting on my back porch at 42 Willow Creek Drive. The sun was shining on the green grass. I had a cup of fresh coffee in my hands. The air smelled like wet earth and blooming flowers. For the first time in my entire life, I felt complete peace. Real peace is not loud. It is actually very quiet. It is the sound of birds singing instead of a ringing phone. It is the feeling of waking up on a Sunday morning and knowing you do not have to go chop onions for people who do not love you. David walked out onto the wooden porch. He was wearing his old gray sweatpants and a plain white t-shirt. He had his laptop in his hands. He sat down in the wooden chair next to me and opened the screen. "The public court records just updated," David said quietly. "Because of the cease and desist order, my family could not call me or send me letters. I did not know what was happening in their house on Maple Drive. But court records are public. Anyone can search them online." I took a sip of my coffee. "Tell me the final result," I said. My voice was completely calm. My hands did not shake. David looked at the screen. "Your father did not go to federal prison," David explained, "because it was his first criminal offense, and because he agreed to a plea deal with the district attorney. He stayed out of jail. He was ordered to pay strict legal restitution." David scrolled down the page. "The court ordered him to pay back the full $11,200, plus $4,000 in bank lawyer fees, plus interest," David read. "He did not have the cash. The bank started a wage garnishment. They are taking 25% of his paycheck every single month before he even sees it." I looked out at the green grass. I thought about my dad, the proud man who loved to show off his money. Now, a judge was forcing him to pay for his lies directly out of his salary. There were no magical quick fixes. He could not charm the federal judge. "And what about the house?" I asked. "To avoid bankruptcy, they had to take out a second mortgage on the house," David said. He closed the laptop. "That beautiful marble kitchen your mother loves so much, they are going to be paying for it for the next 15 years. A soft breeze blew through the trees. I did not smile, but I did not cry either. The ending of a family drama in real life does not look like a movie. The villain does not fall off a cliff. The villain just has to wake up every single day and live in the broken world he created. My dad was a man who cared about his fake public image more than anything. Now he was legally branded as a fraud. He had a criminal record. His bank accounts were closely watched. And Leo? I found out from a mutual friend on Facebook a few weeks ago that Leo was working as a cashier at a local grocery store. He did not have a fancy $60,000 green Ford truck. He was driving a cheap, beat-up used car. Without my credit score to steal, the golden boy finally had to face the real world. The toxic equilibrium was dead forever. Suddenly David reached over and took my hand. His fingers were warm. "Aunt Carol tried to call me yesterday," David said softly. I looked at him. "What did she say?" "I didn't answer it," David smiled. "She left a voicemail. She said your dad's health is bad, and your mother is very sad. She said it is time to let the past go. She said blood relation is the biggest of all." I squeezed David's hand. "What did you do?" "I deleted the message and blocked her number," David said simply. I leaned my head on his shoulder. Aunt Carol was still playing the enabler. She was still trying to use guilt to drag me back into the dark hole. But it did not work anymore. When you finally set a real boundary, The manipulators always try to test it. They knock on the door to see if it is still locked. But my door was made of iron now. I closed my eyes and thought about the journey of the last 6 months. I thought about the dark hallway in October, standing in my socks, listening to my dad steal my name. I thought about the heavy black binder. I thought about the blue police stamp. I thought about the Thanksgiving turkey getting cold on the table while the truth finally came out. I used to believe that I was broken. I used to think I was a bad daughter because I could not make them happy. But now I knew the truth. DNA is just biology. It is just a random accident of birth. Sharing the same blood does not give anyone the right to abuse you, steal from you, or use you as a human shield. Real family is about loyalty. Real family is the people who protect you when you are weak. David was my real family. He was the one who told me to lock my credit file. He was the one who sat on the floor with me and printed the bank papers. He stood like a wall between me and my father's anger. Elena at the hospital was my real family. She was the one who told me to get the police report. She gave me the courage to be a strong woman instead of a scared little girl. I opened my eyes and looked at the bright blue sky. I am Maya Reynolds. I am 29 years old now. I am a great nurse. I save sick babies every single day. I pay my own bills. I have a clean credit file, a quiet home, and a husband who loves me for exactly who I am. My parents wanted me to be their bank. They wanted me to be their scapegoat. But I chose to be free. Drop your stories in the comments. I might feature them in my next video. Subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss the next story.